Hey everyone, welcome back to Front-End Cycle. Here we make learning React easy and fun. Today we are diving into something super important for anyone preparing for React machine coding round, which is infinity scroll component using React, Tailwind CSS and Byte. Infinity scroll is a crucial feature that you might encounter in coding interview. It not only demonstrates your understanding of React but also showcases your ability to handle dynamic data fetching and user experience improvement. Nowadays, most of the big tech companies using infinity scroll in their homepage. If I want to give an example, YouTube itself in their homepage using infinity scroll. Not only YouTube, if you go to the Facebook, you can see the Facebook feed, they are using infinity scroll, LinkedIn feed, Instagram feed and whatnot. Now I will show you how it works. So this is our final product that we are going to build. Initially, you can see there are 5 posts by default page. And if we go to the inspect, in the network tab, now if we reach the bottom of the page, if you can see here in the network tab, see one more request added, right? You can see it limit is 5 and skip 5. That means already 5 posts already fetched. That's why it skip 5 items and started from the ID 6. That means ID 1 to 5 already fetched. It skipped 5 items and it fetched again from 6 to 10 since our limit is 5. If you increase the limit, your array item will be increased in the response. Now if we go bit down to reach the bottom of the page, there is another API request message. It is skip 10. That means if I click on that, you can see that means already 10 item is exist on the UI. It fetched another 5 item and it starts from ID 11, right? Now if I want to show you, like if I refresh it and if I go, you can see, right, it's so smooth and you don't need to wait for click on any page, anything else. This is where infinity scroll plays a vital role to increase user experience. So let's get serious and dive into this must-know feature. By end of this video, you will be ready to impress your interviewers with seamless infinity scroll component. Ready? Let's go. First, we need to set up our project with Byte and Tailwind CSS. Here you can see I am on a tailwindcss.com/docs/guides/byte. First, you need to install React with Byte. Here in the first command, you can see the npm create byte latest, your project name, and the template should be the React, right? And then you need to install the Tailwind CSS dependency like the Tailwind CSS, post CSS and auto prefixer. You need to create a Tailwind config file. You need to update the config file and you need to add the utility classes in your index.css, and that's it. I did the same thing. That if you can see here in the package.json, I have installed the Tailwind CSS here with the Byte, and I have created the Tailwind config file and with updated content. And if I go to the index.css, I have added the utility classes, the base component and utilities. And in the app.jsx, the same code that they are providing here, I have just pasted it there. And if you run it, you will see this hello world. So let's go to the app.js. We need to create a component folder inside the src directory. Let's create a components. Inside it, I want to create an infinity scroll JS component. RAFC for shortcut, and I want to import that in app.jsx file. So infinity scroll, I should be able to see the infinity scroll component here. Nice, it's visible. Before I start jump into the coding, I just want to let you know, since we need a data source, we need to fetch the data dynamically. So in that case, we are using the dummyjson.com. So if I go here, dummyjson.com, you will get a bunch of dummy APIs here. So if I go to the docs and if I just go below here, I will get a post, and if I click on the get all post, I'll be able to get this post API here. You can see https //dummyjson.com/post. So if I hit this endpoint to the URL, I should be able to get the list of the post. Oh shit, that has to be without string. You can see here, right, we are getting the data here. So by default maybe 30, limit is 30 by default, but it depends on us, right? We can control the limit here. So if I just hit the limit 5 and page 2, then I will be able to see the data from, like, see, I'm getting the data is till the 5, and if I increase, sorry, that should not be a page, that should be skip. Let's just see if I do the skip 10, so I will be able to get the data from the 11, so 11 to 15, right? 11 to 15, since our limit is 5. So if I increase the limit 5 to 10, so I will be able to get the data from 11 to 20. So that's how it works. I hope that part is clear, right? So we are going to use that endpoint to get the post data. Cool. So let's go to the infinite scroll component. Here we need couple of state to get the post data, right? So let's create couple of state here. So first I need a post that has to be an empty array, and I need a page state to store the current page. Const so by default that has to be 0, and I need a loading state by default it should be false. Cool. So far so good. We need a 3 state: post for store the post data, page to store the current page, and loading state to show the loading text on the UI, right? Cool. Okay, so let's create a function to fetch the data. So const fetch post is equal to, so here I will use callback to prevent the unnecessary API calls. Use callback. I will receive and callback function. First I need to set the loading state true. Before fetching the data, I want to set the loading state true. Then I will write a try catch functions. Inside the catch I will catch the error. Let's just say we can console log here error fetching post, and we can log the error here, and at the time we can set the loading false. So inside the try block, first I want to get the response from, I want to use await, so for that I want to use async here, right? Await fetch, and since I have said we'll use that endpoint to get the data, let's copy the endpoint and paste it here. So I use backtick here since I need to dynamically add that limit and skip here, right? So limit we can set it to 5 here, and skip that has to be dynamic. Skip should be page into 5. So why it is 5 here? Because we have set limit is 5, right? So if we set it 10, we need to set it 10 here. So based on that limit and page, it will skip the previous item and it will give us the new item, right? And we need to convert it to the JSON here. Data is equal to await response dot JSON. Cool. Now we need to store it, right? So set post will get the previous post, and what we will do, we'll keep the previous post and we'll add the new post by data dot post, POSTS, post. Cool. So what we are doing here, we are fetching the data, we are converting it to the JSON, and we are updating the state with the previous post. Now here I want to set loading false, right? And where is showing warning here? Oh, okay, it's like one of the extension I have used, so for that reason it is showing, you know, the gray underline here, but you know, you can skip it. So cool. Now if I want to call this function here with the use effect, so we can call it to the fetch post function, right? Now we can console log the post state, right? Console log post, we can see it. So if I just go to the inspect, I should be able to see the console here. Okay, you can see like the post is 20. I don't know why it is showing the 20. Okay, so you can see here the post is it is a 5 item, right? And it is calling twice, right? Okay, let me tell you it is why it is calling twice, but interestingly you can see here like it is repeating here 1 to 5 and 1 to 5 here, right? So it is repeating. So it is happening for the React strict mode. If you go to the main.jsx, if you know remove that React strict mode, so you will get just only, you know, one API call. You can see, right, this is just only one API call and we are getting the 1 to 5 since our limit is 5. So if I increase the limit, from here 5 to 10, so I should be able to get like the 10 item instead of 5 here, right? So just you can see, right, I got the 10 items here, 1 to 10, right? So let's keep 5 instead of 10 so that I can show you that infinity scroll behavior properly. So let's keep it 5. Okay, now let's work on the JS expert to show the post to the UI, right? So let's work on that. Let's use the class name, it's the container, and I want mx should be container, mx should be auto, and p padding should be 4. And okay, I want to add a h1. We can write a title called infinity scroll, and we can just make it bit bold, text to excel, font bold, and we can give margin bottom, right? And let's work on the actual post card. Now I want like class name grid calls 1. I want to show one item 1 by 1 and gap is 4. Oh, it should be 4, not 40. Now we can loop through the post dot map, right? We'll get the post. So we can actually we can create a new component for the post card. Let's create a component. So that has to be like the post card or a appc for shortcut. We can use the post card here. Post card. We need to, you know, add a key. We can use the post.id. Cool. So we can send this post here, and let's go inside that, and we will receive the post. And what we can do here, we can add a class name p4 padding 4 and border around it and shadow, right? And here the h2, I can add the post title here, so I can add the class name here like text excel for bit bold and font semi bold. And in the bottom I want to show a couple of information related to the post p. Here the post body post dot body, and below I want to use a D with the class name mg margin top 2 text gray 600. Here I want to use views. Here there's a post dot views. Let's set up pipe here. Likes should be post dot likes. Okay, it has to be post dot reactions dot likes, and dislikes post dot reactions dot dislikes. I'm getting that information from the this API call. If I just hit that, you can see here, like if I expand that post, you can see, right, there's a the body ID reactions, right, reaction like and dislike. Reaction is an object, you can see the likes and dislike here, so I am using from here, right? So cool, it is showing that warning because it's saying to add up prop types actually, basically. So what we can do, we can just disable for this now, or we can make it for the entire line. You can add these prop types, right? So for developing perspective, I'm not concerning about these prop types. It's easy. I have already added in my previous video in a couple of components. You can watch that part. So we have added views, likes and dislikes, right? Let's see how it looks like, and you can see it looks good, right? It looks good. So basically it's the title, post body, and the views, likes and dislikes, and we are getting just only 5 items, right? Since we didn't add any infinity scroll word yet, so it won't fetch another items, right, others items. So that's okay, that's fine, we'll work on that, right? Cool, so far so good. Now let me tell you the heart of the infinity scroll, which is the intersection observer, right? If you don't know what is intersection observer, I can give you a glimpse. We'll discuss a bit later about the intersection observer. So the intersection observer is a powerful tool to help us detect when an element is visible in the viewport or not. So if I want to say in a simple language, intersection observer help us to detect an element is in the viewport or not. That is what intersection observer will help us to work on the infinity scroll. So now here, after the loop through all the posts, I want to use a loading state. So if loading state true, we can show a loading text. If not, then we don't want to show anything else, right? So let's use a loading text. So if you remember, we have a loading state here in the top part. You can see the loading, right? And we have also consciously handle the loading state here. So if loading is exist, I want to use this div. With the loading text, right? Cool. Now if I go to the browsers, if I reload, you can see, right, you can see a loading text for a couple of seconds. It's too fast, so that's why it is not actually visible properly, but yeah, it is there. Since I have said we'll work on the intersection observer, so intersection observer is a heart that I have already told you, right? We need an element, so we need an element to observe our element is in the viewport or not. Based on that, we can load the more data to the UI. So let's use a div here. Div should be the self-closing div. I want to use the ref here to get the element. So we need a ref state here, const ref is equal to use ref. Oh, so that has to be ref. Cool. We need to import it. Cool. So use this ref with this div. Cool. Now this element will help us to observe if our user reached to the bottom of the page or not, right? So let's start working on the intersection observer, right? So we need to use the intersection observer inside the use effect, since we need to trigger the function API call once user reached the bottom of the page, right? So let's use the use effect here. Let's use the empty dependency for now. So we need a couple of options to work on the intersection observer. So let's write a option object here, const options. First, we need a root. I'll tell you why we need a root, and I will need root margin, and I will need also the threshold. So here root value by default should be null, so that means we are observing the viewport here, right? And root margin should be, we can use any pixel here. Let's use a 20 pixel. So that means we are adding 20 pixel margin around the viewport for earlier triggering. And the last one is a threshold. So threshold, we can use the 1.0. that means like it will trigger the observer when 100% of the element is in the viewport, right? So these are the three options that we need. Now we need a observer. So const observer is equal to, we need to instantiate the intersection observer with new keyword intersection observer. It's a JavaScript API, right, that I have already said, to help us detect when an element is visible in the viewport or not, right? So it's a functions. It will receive a callback function, and we can add the options here as the second parameters, options, right? So this callback function checks if the observed element is intersecting the viewport. Most specifically, if I want to say entry.is intersecting, so I will tell you what is entry.is intersecting. So inside the callback function, it will receive an array of options. So we want the first one, we can name it as the entry, right? So this entry dot is intersecting will help us to observe the element is intersecting in the viewport or not. Now we can write a condition here, entry dot is intersecting, and if loading is false, so set page will take the previous data and will increase by 1. So now we have an observer. We need to observe the element, right? Now we can use this rep, right? If rep. So if you remember, we use this rep. If I want to show you, is we use this rep to this element, right? And always this element would be in the bottom of the page, right? So we need to observe it. Rep dot current, if rep dot current is exist, then observer dot observe, which is rep dot current, right? It will observe the element. We are good now. So most important things, just always keep in mind, we need to clean up the use effect function, right? So what we can do to clean up the use effect function, we can return a callback function from here. So we need to unobserve the element, right? So if ref dot current is exist at the time, what will do, observer dot unobserve, which is ref dot current. Cool. So what we did, we have specified a couple of options here. We have written an observer, right? And we have observed the element, and finally we have cleaned up the use effect functions, right? And importantly, you have to specify here like the ref and the loading, since these are the dependency to call this, sorry, to trigger this use effect, right? And here it is saying to add this fetch post. We can add it here, no problem, right? Cool. Now we can check our infinity scroll functionalities. If I, okay, it is actually calling, automatically calling. Let's debug it why it is automatically calling. So let's go to the code. Okay, so we have made a mistake here. We need to add a dependency for the use callback, right? So it will completely dependent on the page. If you can notice here, our dynamic variable is a page, right? So it will dependent on the page. So please correct it. Now save it, and if we go here, reload it, and you can see first time we are fetching only the 5 items, right? If I go to the inspect element, network tab, just keep it short, and if I go, remember, like if I reach the bottom of the page, boom, you can see another API call is made and we are getting the another 5 items, right? You can see like ID is skip 5, that means we are starting ID from 6 to 10. You can see here, right? So 6 to 10, and if I just close it, you can see first one is his mother had always taught him, and 1 2 3 4 5, and we are getting the new one from the ID 6, right? And if I go down, and new API call has been made, right? You can see, right? Boom, how cool is that? And if I go to the inspect, and we can see how this API call has been made, and it is super efficient, right? We are not fetching all the data together, we are fetching the data based on the scroll, right? If user reach the bottom of the page, at that time we are calling the API to get the updated data. How cool is that? So we have covered the infinity scrolls, but wait, I just want to revise one more time what I did, and most importantly the intersection observer, right? The heart is the intersection observer here. All the things that I know you all know about how to fetch the data, how to show it to the user, but the most important things here, the intersection observer. If you notice clearly, to fetch the data, to trigger the use effect to fetch the data, is all things are handled by the intersection observer, right? So again, intersection observer is a JavaScript API to help us detect a element is in the viewport or not, right? And we have added a element here in the bottom of the page, and based on that we are actually triggering the use effect to call the API to get the updated data, right? And if I want to tell you here, to work on the intersection observer, we need options that I have specified here. We need to instantiate with the callback functions, and inside the callback it will receive an entry as a first item of the array, and is intersecting will give us true false. Based on that, is it intersecting or not, and our loading state should be false, and at that time we'll increase the page number, right? Now we have the observer, we need to observe, and finally we have cleaned up the use effect hook, and that's it. So this is a complete, easy to understand infinity scroll component using React, Tailwind CSS and Bind. So this feature is crucial for machine coding rounds in React interviews. So make sure to practice and understand each part. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Keep practicing, revisit this channel, and let's ace those coding interviews together. Happy coding, I'll see you in the next video.